What's going on YouTube? Dr. Iron Bat Prime 2.0 back at again with another video, and as this video entitles, these are my top 10 superhero movies that almost hit the big screen but ended up not happening. Well, superhero movies that almost happened. Now what inspired me to do this? Well, I love talking about superhero movies and I love and enjoy superheroes and movies, so I thought why not talk about them both on a way, well, of saying these are movies that almost would have happened, but ended up not seeing the light of day. For this list, just know that this is going to be my opinion, and these are just movies that almost would have hit the big screen, but ended up not happening. But hey, the more you know, and let's kick the list off at number 10 on superhero movies that almost would have happened. Kicking the list off at number 10 is Superman Lives by Tim Burton. Tim Burton has already taken a look at doing movies with Batman, so he thought he'd do it in another by doing it with Superman. Only problem, there are many reasons this movie ended up not getting up on the big screen, but was already in pre-production, and it would have had Nicolas Cage, aka Ghost Rider himself, to play Superman. And not only that, but the crazy part about what this movie was gonna have, the villains would have been Lex Luthor and Brainiac, only weirdly, they would be merged into one character. I'll admit, Lex Luthor and Brainiac are literally in my top 5 when it comes to Superman villains, but seeing them merged together, come on. But this movie did get a documentary, so we would have seen a lot more of, well, what this movie would have been like if you watched the documentary, so the more you know. Number 9 on the list is the Green Lantern sequel. There are many reasons this movie ended up just not seeing the light of day. Because of the failure of the first one, we never got the sequel. Plus, they weren't selling enough toys, so that's the second reason why this movie ended up not happening. I think it's no joke that the movie just turned out terrible. I mean, I like Green Lantern and he's one of my favorite superheroes, but the movie just made him look like an idiot, and because of its failures, we never got, the sequel. But we would have seen Sinestro as a Yellow Lantern Corp and as the main villain, but let's hope later on in the future we get a better Green Lantern movie than what we got back in 2011. So Snyder, maybe you can do something with Green Lantern for, well, the future of DCEU movies. Hitting the 8th spot on the list is the Plastic Man movie. For those of you who don't know who Plastic Man is, here's a quick summary of who he is. For those of you who don't know who Plastic Man is, he's basically a comedian version of Mr. Fantastic, who is also a DC hero, but he also has the ability to, stretch his limbs and all that. And he was about to get his own movie, and here's what it would have been like. This movie would have been directed by the Wachowskis, aka the creators of The Matrix. Yeah, they were basically going to be the directors, and they were going to give Plastic Man, they were going to create their own villains for Plastic Man to fight in this movie, explain that his powers were, a scientific accident. And they would have had Keanu Reeves, aka John Wick himself, to play Plastic Man. Can you imagine that happening? I mean, I like Keanu Reeves, but seeing him as Plastic Man, kinda. Number 7 on the list is Joss Whedon's Wonder Woman movie. We're all familiar with who Joss Whedon is. The guy who created Firefly, Cabin in the Woods, the first Avengers movie, the second Avengers movie, and accidentally messed up on Justice League, was going to direct this movie. And he had plans and a script and everything for a Wonder Woman movie because Warner Brothers has tried multiple times to try and make a Wonder Woman movie before 2017. So yeah, Joss Whedon approached Warner Brothers, and apparently they just didn't like the script because this movie would have turned into, more of a Steve Trevor kind of movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Steve Trevor, he's a cool character, and he's one of the reasons Diana Prince is Wonder Woman, but this movie would have been a little more focused on him than on Wonder Woman, so that's why Warner Brothers didn't like the script. So yeah, I mean, that's why the movie ended up not happening, but several years later, but thank God the Wonder Woman movie that came in, 2017, ended up becoming such a big hit and such a great movie. So things worked out in the end with, well, Wonder Woman. Staying on number 6 is the Inhumans movie. This was basically going to be part of Marvel's Phase 3, but for X, Y, and Z reasons, this movie ended up not happening, and well, this ended up happening. So instead, we got a TV show instead. And honestly, I've seen it, but I just wasn't a big fan of it. And people are saying that it's the worst thing that Marvel has ever done. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of it. I really don't mind if, well, I really wouldn't have minded if, well, if Marvel had to just, well, delay the movie or, like, make it be, well, and we'd have to wait till, like, Marvel Phase 4. But, again, this movie, I almost wish it would have happened. It would have been a lot more better than the show. Halfway at number 5 on my list is James Cameron's Spider-Man movie. We're all familiar with who James Cameron is. He's the guy who directed Titanic, Avatar, and he had plans for a Spider-Man movie several years ago. And translation on what it'd been like, this movie would have had Leonardo DiCaprio as Spider-Man himself, and the villain would have been Doc Ock, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, I like those actors, but there are just some roles that they shouldn't play. So, yeah. But again, I almost wish this movie would have happened because, well, I love Spider-Man, and, well, seeing Leonardo DiCaprio as Spidey would have been kind of cool. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Doc Ock, he already failed as Mr. Freeze. Why would you give him the role as Doc Ock? Come on. Number 4 on the list is X-Men Origins Magneto. There are some X-Men movies that are good, others are bad. And, well, this is one that almost would have happened, but it just didn't happen because this happened. And one of them being X-Men Origins Wolverine, which became such a big failure, but Fox had plans for many X-Men characters to have their own origin movie. Yeah, they had plans for a lot of X-Men Origins movies, like possibly one for Cyclops, Jean Grey, Professor X, and Magneto was, well, it was being planned out and everything, but again, because of the failure of X-Men Origins Wolverine, we never got any, well, we didn't get that one, and we just ended up not getting, well, any others. But later on, that was when we got X-Men First Class, which explained a lot more about the X-Men themselves, and, well, we got a lot more history and everything on Magneto in this movie. But in the end, I did end up liking X-Men First Class. Like, not the best X-Men movie, but it was enjoyable. I like it. Maybe it'll hard to tell where I would rate it, but I like it. I just don't, and it's enjoyable. So there's that with X-Men First Class. Taking the top 3 is Batman Triumphant. Now, I already did a video on this a while back, and I will leave a link in the description down below where I talk a lot about it. But here's a quick summary of what it would have been like. Joel Schumacher had plans for this movie for a while, like before he even died. He basically had plans for George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell and the rest of the Bat family to come back in. There would have been Nicolas Cage as Scarecrow, Madonna, and or Courtney Love as Harley Quinn. Yeah, that's a way of saying of what this movie was going to be like, and I almost wish it would have happened because, well, it would have saved the whole 89 to 97 franchise of Batman. But, I already did a video on it, on talking on all details and everything, and link is down below if you want to check out the video on where I talked about it. Number 2 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man 3. There's a pretty good reason on why Mark Webb did not make a third Amazing Spider-Man movie. This movie ended up not happening because of the failure of the second Amazing Spider-Man movie. So, then, I mean, I like Andrew Garfield as Spidey, but this movie would just, well, it just ended up not seeing the light of day. It just ended up being canceled. And translation on what it would have been like, here's what it would have been like. Also, it would have brought back Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, only as a clone, which means it would have been like the 90s clone saga that most of us Spider-Man fans would remember. Yeah, that's the crazy part. Plus, they were going to focus on Peter's, well, blood, only saying it was magical instead of genetically enhanced. And villain-wise, It basically would have been the Sinister Six, but it would be a little bit messed up on how they would do that. I'm not sure if I would like this movie, but I would just still want to see it because, well, I like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, and the movie was just... and I would just want to see how it would turn out. And taking top spot number 1 is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4. This is like number 1 because before the MCU came along and DCU movies happened and all those movies happened, I was like, I don't know, I wasn't even 10, but the Sam Raimi / Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies were my jam, and they had plans for a 4th Spider-Man movie, heck, maybe a 5th, and, well, let's just say Sam Raimi just didn't like Spider-Man 3, so the project of Spider-Man 4 ended up not happening. But in the end, we did get some of this. But we did receive some concept art of what this movie would have been like, and overall, I could sort of now see it happen still. The villains would have been the Vulture, and he would have been played by John Malkovich. And I would have liked to see that happen with Vulture, and we would have had another villain in this movie. And Bruce Campbell would be in the movie again. You know, the wrestling announcer from the first movie, the usher from the second movie, and the French waiter from the third movie. He would have showed up again in this movie as another Spidey villain, and that would have been his full-on Mysterio. But in the end, with those villains, this is what ended up happening for them. But Vulture ended up being played by Michael Keaton in Spider-Man Homecoming, and Mysterio ended up being played by Jake Gyllenhaal in Spider-Man Far From Home, and now we just have, well, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, who, in my opinion, is still the best Spidey. So, the more you know with these characters, but that about wraps up my list. And overall, I do have some honorable mentions to add in, so here are the honorable mentions. As for honorable mentions, those would be Michael Jackson's Spider-Man movie, Wesley Snipes' Black Panther, Ryan Reynolds' 2000's Flash movie, and Justice League Immortal. And that's my whole list of movies that almost hit the big screen. Well, superhero movies that almost would have hit the big screen. But thank you all for watching. I really hope you liked this video. Hope you learned a thing or two. And just thank you all for watching and just talk about these movies because it's just something I like and enjoy doing. But just to wrap up on the video, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new to watching this video, and if you're just exploring, well, new videos and content, just hit subscribe down there if you haven't, and hit the bell so you're notified whenever I upload a video. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up so I know you like this video or even love it, and don't forget to comment below. I'm always reading comments down there, so there's that. And also don't forget to follow me on social media, and I just might follow you back. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, CosplayMino, TikTok. All my social media names are right here, so follow me and I just might follow you back. So, till next time guys, this is Dr. Iron Bat Prime 2.0, and I'll see you all in my next video.